Hello students, welcome to the course of Environmental Science. My name is Riya Dikshit and I am working as an assistant professor in AISSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Pune. The topic for this session is threats to biodiversity, habitat loss, poaching of wildlife, man-wildlife conflicts and biological invasions. Now let's understand the objectives of this session. To know about biodiversity, to know about the threats of biodiversity such as habitat loss, poaching of wildlife, man-wildlife conflicts and biological invasions. Biodiversity. Biodiversity, which is short for biological diversity, refers to the variety of life forms present on Earth, encompassing the diversity of species, ecosystems, and genetic variation within and among populations. It is a measure of richness and complexity of life at different levels of organization, from the genetic diversity within individual species to diversity of habitats and ecosystem across landscapes and continents. Biodiversity plays a critical role in sustaining life on Earth and providing a wide range of ecosystem services that are essential for human well-being, including clean air and water, pollination of crops, climate regulation, and provision of food, medicine, and other resources. However, biodiversity is increasingly threatened by human activities such as habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, overexploitation of natural resources, and introduction to invasive species. Conservation efforts aimed at protecting and preserving biodiversity are therefore of paramount importance for the long-term health and sustainability of ecosystem and planet as a whole. Importance of biodiversity. They are the foundation of life on Earth and are essential for both human survival and the health of the planet. Protecting and restoring ecosystems is crucial for ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. Ecosystems are critically important for various reasons, such as biodiversity. Ecosystems support a vast array of plant, animal, and microbial species. Biodiversity is not only a measure of ecosystem health but also provides resilience against environmental changes and disturbances. Ecosystem services. They provide essential services that sustain life, such as clean air and water, fertile soil for agriculture, pollination of crops by the insects, regulation of climate change, nutrient cycling, and flood control. Human well-being. Ecosystems contribute directly to human well-being by providing resources for food, medicine, clothing, and shelter. They also offer recreational opportunities and cultural value, contributing to people's mental and physical health. Water purification. We consume water every single day. It is vital for our health. Wetlands, forests, and other ecosystems act as natural filters, purifying water by trapping the pollutants and removing excess nutrients. They help maintain water quality for both human consumption and health of aquatic ecosystems. Soil formation and fertility. Ecosystems contribute to the formation and maintenance of soil by breaking down organic matter and recycling the nutrients. Healthy soils are essential for agriculture and providing habitat for many organisms. Economic value. Ecosystems support economies through industries like agriculture, fishery, forestry, and tourism. Protecting and restoring ecosystems can have significant economic benefits by ensuring the sustainability of these industries. Research and education. Ecosystems serve as living laboratories for scientific research, providing insights into the ecological processes, species interaction, and ecosystem dynamics. They also offer valuable educational opportunities for learning about the natural world and environmental stewardship. Threats to the biodiversity. Now let's understand what are the various threats to these biodiversity. Habitat loss and fragmentation due to urbanization, agriculture, and infrastructure development threaten countless species. Climate change disrupts ecosystems, alters habitats, and extreme weather events impacting the biodiversity. Pollution, including air, water, and soil pollution, harms organisms directly and indirectly through contamination and habitat degradation. Invasive species which are used for the resources disrupt food chains and can lead to decline or extinction of native species. Overexploitation of natural resources such as overfishing and illegal hunting depletes the population and disrupts ecosystem. Deforestation for timber, agriculture and other purposes destroy vital habitats and reduces the biodiversity. Loss of coral reefs due to the factors like ocean acidification and pollution threatens the marine biodiversity. Land degradation, including the desertification and soil erosion, diminishes the ability of the ecosystem to support the diverse life forms. Habitat degradation and fragmentation restrict the movement and dispersal of species, leading to the genetic isolation and reduced resilience. Water scarcity and mismanagement of the freshwater resources endanger the aquatic ecosystems and the species they support. Disease outbreaks, habitat destruction, and climate change can disseminate the vulnerable populations. Genetic pollution from hybridation with domesticated species threaten the genetic wildlife population. Unsustainable agricultural practices such as monoculture and excessive pesticide use degrade ecosystem and harm the biodiversity. Loss of pollinators such as bees and butterflies disrupts ecosystem functions which are essential for the food production and the plant diversity. Exploitation of wildlife for the exotic pet trade and traditional medicine puts pressure on the vulnerable species and populations. Noise pollution disrupts communication and navigation in the marine ecosystems, affecting their own behavior and also their survival. Fragmentation of habitats reduces the availability of resources and increases the vulnerability to other threats. Disruption of ecological processes such as nutrient cycling and seed dispersal undermines the ecosystem's sustainability, stability, and the resilience. Socioeconomic factors including poverty and inequality drive unsustainable resources use and biodiversity loss. Lack of public awareness and political will hinder the efforts to address the complex and interconnected threats to biodiversity. Habitat loss. Habitat loss refers to the disappearance or degradation of natural environments where plants, animals, and other organisms live and depend on for survival. It is primarily caused by human activities such as urbanization, agriculture, deforestation, and infrastructure development. As habitats are altered or destroyed, species lose their homes, food sources, and breeding grounds, leading to the population decline and, in some cases, extinction. Poaching of wildlife. Motivations. Poaching occurs for various reasons, including financial gain. Many animals are poached for their valuable parts such as skin, horn, which are sold on black markets. Traditional medicines. Certain animal parts are used in traditional medicine practices despite often lacking scientific evidence of their effectiveness. Trophies. Some individuals hunt rare or endangered species for trophies or status symbols. Targets. Poachers target a wide variety of species including elephants. Elephants are primarily hunted for their tusks. Rhinoceros, poached for their horns, which are believed to have medicinal properties. Tigers. Tigers are hunted for their bones, skins, and other body parts which are used in traditional Asian medicine. Bears, poached for their gallbladders and other body parts. Birds. Some birds are poached for their feathers, eggs, or meat. Marine species including your whale, sharks, and other marine animals are poached for their fins, meat, as well as the oil. Impact. Now, poaching has a very devastating impact on the wildlife and the ecosystem, which include population decline. Poaching can lead to significant reduction in the population sizes of targeted species, pushing them towards extinction. Ecosystem imbalance. The loss of key species through poaching can disrupt ecosystem dynamics, leading to the effects of other species and ecosystem services. Economic loss. Countries rely on tourism revenue from wildlife are affected by the decline in the animal population which is caused due to poaching. Social consequences. Poaching can fuel conflicts between poachers and law enforcement, as well as the tension between the conservationists and local communities. Efforts to combat poaching. Governments and organizations and law enforcement agencies are taking various measures to combat poaching, including strengthening the law and penalties for poaching and wildlife trafficking, increasing patrols and surveillance in protected areas, engaging local communities in conservation efforts through the education, alternative livelihoods, and community-based conservation initiatives, supporting the development and implementation of international agreements and conservation to tackle the wildlife crime, using technologies such as GPS tracking and cameras to trap and monitor and protect the wildlife. Human-wildlife conflict. Human-wildlife conflict can be triggered by various factors such as habitat loss and fragmentation. Human activities such as agriculture, urbanization, and infrastructure development encroach upon the wildlife habitats, forcing animals into closely proximity with the human settlements. Competition for resources. As natural habitats shrink, wildlife may venture into the human-dominated landscapes in search of food, water, or shelter, which are their basic needs, leading to the conflicts with humans. Crop raiding. Animals such as elephants, deer, and monkeys may raid agricultural fields, causing significant economic losses for farmers. Livestock predation. The predator animals such as big cats, wolves, bears may attack livestock, leading to the conflicts with the livestock owners. Human injuries. The human injuries which are caused by the wildlife may pose direct threat into the human safety and therefore cause human-wildlife conflict. Impact. The human-wildlife conflict has numerous consequences for both humans as well as wildlife. Economic losses. Crop damage, livestock degradation, and property destruction can result in significant financial losses for farmers and communities. Food insecurity. Crop raiding and lifestyle predation can threaten food security for communities reliant on agriculture and livestock rearing. Human injuries. Attacks by wildlife on humans can result in injuries or even major injuries, leading to fear and conflict between the communities and the wildlife. In response to crop raiding or lifestyle reduction, the communities may resort to killing or retaliating against wildlife, conflicts, and further endangered species. Conservation challenge. The human-wildlife conflict can undermine conservation efforts by fostering negative attitude towards the wildlife, which reduces the local support for the conservation initiatives. Mitigation strategies. Efforts to address the human-wildlife conflict include conflict mitigation measures, implementing techniques such as fencing, and to protect the crops and livestock from wildlife degradation. Compensation schemes, providing compensations to farmers for crop damage or lifestyle losses caused by the wildlife, can reduce the economic losses and also reduce the killing of these wildlife. Community-based conservation, engaging the local communities in conservation efforts through education, awareness campaigns, and participatory decision making can foster the coexistence between humans and wildlife. Habitat restoration and land use planning, protecting and restoring natural habitats as well as planning the settlements and infrastructure development of humans can minimize the conflict with the wildlife and can help mitigate the human-wildlife conflict. Biological invasions. Invasive species can be introduced intentionally or unintentionally by human activities such as trade and transportation. Species on cargo ships, airplanes or vehicles and be transported to new regions. Agriculture or horticulture. Non-native plants, animals and pathogens may be intentionally introduced for agriculture, forestry or landscaping purposes. Pet trade. Exotic plants or ornamental plants can be released or escape into the wild where they can become invasive. Aquaculture. Non-aquatic animal species may escape from aquacultural facilities or be released from aquariums, leading to the invasive population. Traits. Many invasive species are general that can tolerate a wide range of environmental conditions and outcompete native species for the resources. Lack of natural predators or competitors. Invasive species may lack natural predators or competitors in their new environment, allowing them to go unchecked. Rapid growth and dispersal. The invasive species may grow quickly and spread rapidly, colonizing the new areas and outcompeting the native species. Impacts. Invasive species can have significant ecological, economic, and social impact, including biodiversity loss. Invasive species can outcompete and displace the native species, leading to the decline in the biodiversity and ecosystem degradation. Habitat alteration. Invasive species may modify habitat, disrupt ecosystem and processes, and alter the nutrient cycling and food webs. Economic losses. Invasive species can cause economic losses through the damage to agriculture, forestry, fishery, infrastructure, and human health. Human health risk. Some invasive species may pose direct risks to the human health through predation, competition, or the spread of diseases. Cultural impact. These invasive species threaten the cultural heritage and the traditional practices of diverse ecosystems and natural landscapes. Management and control. Strategies for managing these invasive species include prevention. Implementing measures to prevent the introduction and spread of invasive species through regulation, monitoring, and public awareness. Early detection and rapid response. Monitoring and surveillance programs can detect invasive species early and enable rapid response actions to prevent establishment and its spread. Control and eradication. Various control measures such as mechanical removal, chemical treatments, biological control agents, and habitat restoration may be used to manage invasive species population. Integrated management approach. Combining multiple control measures and collaborating with the stakeholders communities can engage the effectiveness of invasive species management. Now let's have a recap of this session. We learned about biodiversity. We learned about what are the different threats of biodiversity, which include biological invasions, human-wildlife conflict, poaching, and habitat loss. Thank you.